So the Congo Biennale was founded by a artist from Kinshasa, Vichwa Mwilambwe Bondo, who's also the founder of Kin Art Studio. And in 2020, I was in residency at the Montresso Foundation in Marrakesh, along with Vichwa and a few other artists from Kinshasa. And over the course of the 6 weeks that I was there in residency, built a great relationship with Vichwa, had many, many conversations about African diaspora, contemporary art, issues that Black artists around the world are faced with. As I learned more about the work that Vichwa was doing, he shared with me that the Congo Biennale was going to be in 2021, and we had some discussion about that, and he invited me to be one of the curators.
I met Fahamu also in Morocco, in Marrakesh, 1 year later. 2 years later. It's Vichwa who introduced me Fahamu because they had a residency in Marrakesh, at La Maison Rouge, and he asked them. It was an invitation to both of us to create the next edition of Kinshasa Biennale.
We all came together, but I think perhaps more importantly than that, our ideas around diaspora are in concert with one another. Thinking about contemporary art practices of African people on the continent and African descendants in other parts of the world. The observation or the realization that the needle in the art world has really shifted to Black experiences and Black aesthetics. We thought, or we all think that this Biennale can be really significant in, making an impact on this question of diaspora. And so our theme, desires, and goals for this Biennale is to really create an international dialogue around ideas of the African diaspora in the 21st century.
I have been working on a lot of projects in Africa. I've been living also in Morocco, in Senegal. I've been working with galleries over there. So I know really well the continent and Africa, and I also really know really well Europe and France. So it was also something interesting to work on that. And Vichwa he's a Congolese, so he knows really well this country. And Fahamu, well, is from Atantla, and is really connected to all the African American artists and the diaspora. So the links was obviously really, really interesting to work on it.
So the first edition of the Biennale really centered on young Congolese artists in the work that is happening there in Kinshasa and in other parts of DRC. And it was a really dynamic presentation. The theme was Young Congo. But for this edition, as I mentioned before, Vichwa was very interested in a more diverse expression of contemporary art, not just in Kinshasa, but on the continent of Africa, in the Americas, in the Caribbean, in Europe. And so, his choice to pull in curators who are operating outside of the Congo or outside of Kinshasa, really speaks to that desire to open this up into a intense international dialogue. We've built a network of artists and resources that we think will have a great impact on this Biennale. And so I think, for those reasons and more, I think we are really sort of positioned to fulfill that vision that Vichwa had of an African diasporic representation in the Congo, which I think is also significant because so much of what we think about in terms of diasporic culture is often drawn back to concepts and ideas that are rooted in Congo culture, right? Even in the United States, you can travel to different parts of the country, and like you go to New Orleans and you have Congo Square, right? In Panama and Colombia, you have communities of African descendants who identify as Congos, and so this notion of Congo in quotations, right, is already diasporic. It's already international. And so bringing these different voices together from these different parts of the world, I think, will make for a really rich dialogue.
I know Fahamu now for only for 1 year, but I've noticed even in his work, in his artwork, he's really connected to his roots, to Africa. And it was his first time to come in Congo. So do I, because I never went in Congo before. And it was a really nice experience with him. Because he's been traveling in Africa actually, but in Morocco and South Africa. And I told him, it's really different. The rest of the country in Africa, it's so different. So it will be a new experience for you, and happy to live that with you, because it's also my first time in Congo. And we had a lot of fun. Well, the reflection around the theme indeed comes from poem, Birago Diop poem. It's also a personal reflection from Fahamu and I that we've been having from several years now, and we both lost our fathers. So this poem was something really important for me personally, and that's also something really, well, not funny, but this poem have been sent also to Fahamu when he lost his dad. So we have this connection on this poem on something very personal, and it's also something that we realized this year with this pandemic, that the time has been difficult, and we were talking about a new chapter. Is it a new chapter? The thing about this poem and the reflection about what Birago wants to say, that it's a lesson of humility and how we live with the environment and people around us. It's it's not only about human, it's about trees, it's about animals, plants, and that with this pandemic, we realize that we haven't taken care of all that. And we have to work on that, and maybe we will use this pandemic as a lesson.
I also think that, again, thinking about the notion of diaspora, of connection, the idea of the breath of ancestors being the link that binds us is palpable, right? Because it is literally the thing that connects us, regardless of, again, how far away I might travel from the continent. This skin will always connect me back to that space, right? This legacy of my ancestors will always connect me back to the continent, in not in a superficial way, but in a very, very real and tangible way. And so I think, it just really becomes a powerful thread that links, the Congo to Paris, to the United States, to the Caribbean, to Los Angeles, to South Africa, to, you know what I mean? It's a powerful thread, this breath of the ancestors. The words of Birago Diop are yes, they're just powerful. And it's a powerful concept to bring us all together. one, I would say it was for both Armelle and I. It was both of our first time being in Congo, and it was really a really mind blowing experience. It's personally for me. I've done a lot of traveling and been to a lot of places, but I've never been to any place quite like Kinshasa. Uh, and I I like to travel without doing a lot of like researching and things. I like to be open to the experience, and I'm grateful that I moved in that way because it allowed me to really sort of be present in the moment and not in my head about any particular expectations that I might have had. Um, but one of the things that really came out of that experience for me that I think really again makes this project important is the recognition that opportunities for artists in Congo, in Kinshasa, and in the Congo, I imagine more broadly, are challenging. And a project like this, an event like this, really begins to uh, open portals and open doors to other experiences, opportunities, insights, expressions that I think not only enrich the lives of those artists who will ultimately be able to travel to Kinshasa and participate in this event, but also for those Congolese artists who, oftentimes struggle with having limited resources and limited access, in their experiences. And so those kinds of things for me make this not only like a prideful opportunity, but also reminds me of the essential nature of these kinds of this kind of discourse. Uh, I think we as a African based in America, as a Black American, um, I have a very sort of intimate knowledge of the ways that certain types of oppressions limit your perspective, right? And I like being in Kinshasa, I was able to sort of witness that same thing for artists who are based there who may not have had an opportunity to travel, right? Where those resources, that privilege may not have been uh, may not have been as accessible, right? But now having an opportunity to bring other voices and bring the world, to Kinshasa, right, begins to open up potential and possibility in ways that I certainly couldn't have imagined before being a part of an event like this. But perhaps for some young artists in Kinshasa who's never thought about, Panama before, now they have access to, you know, uh, artists and ideas and thoughts and practices that are coming from another country, another part of the world that are synchronous with their own ideas. And then that just expands your mind. That shows you that there's so much possibility and potential in the world. And I look forward to to seeing those kinds of revelations and being party to those kinds of experiences.
We discovered Congo in Kinshasa with Fahamu in January. Both of us, it was the first experience. But I already have an experience of cities in Africa. So nothing was really new for me. And I was really glad and to be back on the continent because I'm used to be in several countries all over the year, every year. And with the pandemic of coronavirus, I have been able to travel since a year. So Kinshasa is the only country that I will be able to do in 2020, in 2021 and 2020. So it was a pleasure, and I need it. And we had a lot of visits in the public space, and several spaces that we want to use for the Biennale. Of course, Vichwa's, it's the second edition of the Biennale, so he has been preparing all the visits that we had. He also had the first edition to experiment all the different spaces. We having more artists selected for this edition, so we needed more spaces, and also we wanted to develop the public space project in the public space. And well, I think we found some really interesting spaces, and it might really be gorgeous.
I think one of the things that we are attempting to do here is to show the way that art connects to our lives in real and meaningful and tangible ways. And so by putting art in the public space, and you know, we have ideas of not just putting art in public spaces, but actually engaging the general public in those dialogues and in those conversations and those experiences, because art is not sterile, right? It's not just, you know, again, it's not just an object that you look at, but it's a part of who we are. It's an expression of who we are. It's a language. It's a way of communicating and connecting. And we want to challenge and ultimately transform the relationship that our communities have with art, and to know that, you know, this work is not just about them; it's also for them.